What's going on, people? It's that time once again for everybody's favorite, as of yet untitled, news roundup program where we talk about gaming shiz. So let's talk about some gaming shiz. Now, the first news story we're going to tackle today has to do with the Xbox pre-order situation in Japan. As many of y'all know, Tokyo Game Show is currently going on right now, and Microsoft, in a really strange yet interesting move, decided that they were going to participate at TGS, which is very perplexing given the Xbox brand's situation in Japan. It should come as no surprise to anybody that the Xbox brand has basically been a failure out east. It doesn't matter whether it's the One, the 360, the OG model, Xbox just has not had that type of an impact in Japan as it has in, say, North America or Europe. And Microsoft has really done a lot of good strides at trying to appeal to the Japanese market. Back on the 360, they cut so many different deals with various publishers to get games like Tales of Vesperia exclusive to the Xbox console, a lot of other niche titles that they would put on the Xbox console. But while all those partnerships sound great on paper, they really didn't materialize into much, as a lot of those games ended up releasing on the PlayStation 3, and in a lot of situations they ended up selling better on the PS3 years after the fact. There just seems to be something about the Xbox brand that is incompatible with Japanese culture. You could chalk it up to the fact that they don't have all the games that they would want to play, or maybe the fact that it's a foreign company and they like to support their own. Xbox has not been doing good in Japan. Yet all of a sudden, the Xbox Series X and Series S are selling out in Japan. What I'm showing y'all on screen right here is a graphic showing the Xbox consoles in Japan. And as y'all can see right here, both the consoles have been selling out like hella quick, which is very surprising, but at the same time, equally amazing. Now, it remains to be seen the extent of what this actually means, because as we've seen with tons of different products out there, just because you sell out upon release does not mean you have the legs that are going to keep you selling for years to come. Let's rewind the clocks a few years to the launch of the Wii U. It had a really good start. It was selling out like crazy, and in the first 45 days, I believe they were able to crack 3 million units, but as y'all have seen with the fallout of the Wii U, that 3 million units was the fastest the system was ever going to sell. And considering that Microsoft has not had the greatest success in Japan, how many units did they allocate to each individual retailer? Like, did each individual retailer have 3,000 units to sell, or did they have 30? We just don't know. So while this pre-order situation might amount to nothing in the end, it is definitely something worth mentioning considering Xbox's philosophy when it comes to Japan. Phil Spencer has been very vocal, especially in recent months, about really recapturing the Japanese audience and getting them to play games on Xbox. And even if it isn't just Japan loving Xbox, it's about giving gamers around the world access to those Japanese games on Xbox. And when you factor in the amount of trips that Phil has taken to Japan and partnerships that he's formed with them, games debuting first on an Xbox stage, games coming out on the Xbox console you would have never thought would come out, and some of them launching day and date into Game Pass. The Yakuza franchise is a perfect example of Phil Spencer going out of his way to try to secure those games. All 3 releases available on Xbox, Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, and the prequel Yakuza 0 came to the Xbox console day and date on Xbox Game Pass. And judging by the reactions from the community, it seems to be paying their dividends, because there are a lot of people who have gotten into the Yakuza franchise via Game Pass. I just feel so fulfilled. It's a beautiful, beautiful feeling. And let's also talk about a couple of my other favorite franchises. The Kingdom Hearts series, for example. For the longest time, Kingdom Hearts 3 was the only game available on Xbox, and people were scratching their head, why are you launching Kingdom Hearts 3 on Xbox when none of the older games are available on the platform? What happens after that? Phil Spencer goes over to Square Enix and he brings over Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8. And all those games are available on Xbox Game Pass. Dragon Quest XI-S Definitive Edition, available on Xbox. Something unheard of. We never thought a Dragon Quest game would come to Xbox, let alone launching day and date on Game Pass. And while a lot of those games, yes, are older entries, they are ports of games that have appeared on older systems, it is still great that they are available on Xbox on this service that is introducing millions of gamers into these franchises, and who knows, maybe them actually putting the games on Xbox, them making money on Xbox is going to fund Phil Spencer doing more of these collaborations and these partnerships. I'm sure there's a ton of Japanese games y'all would love to see on Xbox. I mean, me, myself, and I, y'all know I am a whore for Persona. I would love for Xbox gamers, and by extension PC gamers, to play more of this series. I would love if Falcom was able to strike a deal with Xbox and they could bring their franchises over to that series of systems. So it's kind of like everybody wins at the end of the day. So we'll see what really comes from this Xbox pre-order situation in Japan. Maybe it is because people want a new generation of Xbox, or that $299 price tag is just very appealing. And since we're on the topic of Game Pass, we might as well just segue straight into this with a brand new addition to the family, Doom Eternal. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Doom Eternal, one of the best games of 2020, is officially joining Xbox Game Pass, console and PC. So starting October 1st, you can download Doom Eternal on your Xbox One, with the PC version coming at a later date. And this is just fantastic news. Doom Eternal is one of my favorite games of the year. And again, more people have the opportunity to play it. Doom 2016 was included in Game Pass, and now they put Eternal in there. For a game that is still technically considered brand new, it's only 6 months old, having that launch into Game Pass. Now, whether or not this deal was signed before the Bethesda acquisition or not, that is still just such an amazing move. And again, it goes back to Game Pass value and people getting able to enjoy and play these experiences. It's freaking dope, man. I love it. And when you factor in Doom Eternal is getting a next generation Xbox Series X patch, you know, that's just great incentive for people to get the Series X, and they can play this game and have it running with all types of crazy new bells and whistles. So in some really awesome news that you don't realize is really awesome until you actually see the feature for yourself and you're like, that's really awesome, Xbox is going to soon allow you to preload installs for physical media. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you've been gaming for any amount of time in the past generation, you would know that installs for physical media has kind of become par for the course as these games get more grandiose in terms of scale, scope, and of course, game file size. Installs have kind of become the way that developers are circumventing some problems. You know, reading off of a hard drive is so much faster by comparison to a Blu-ray disc, and even then, reading off a hard drive is still really slow. It's so funny when we talk about the discussion of physical media versus digital media and what people end up preferring. One of the pros for physical media for the longest time was you didn't have to deal with any downloads. You didn't have to deal with any downloads, waiting for stuff to install to your system, what have you. And now it's gotten to the point where you buy a game and you're already going to be waiting anywhere from like 10 to 30 minutes for it to install. And then when you factor in day one patches, it just becomes a freaking mess. And you're just like, you know what? I might as well just deal with digital, because at least digital lets me preload the stuff. And then Microsoft was just like, nah, we got you, fam. So now they're going to allow you to queue up physical game installs. So like, let's just say, for example, you're buying Persona 6 on Xbox Series X. Let's say the game, for whatever reason, has a 50 gigabyte install. You know, you're ready, you're excited to get the game, but you don't want to wait for it. You can go to the game page, hit download to your Xbox, and it will let you preload all those installs and those patches. So when you get the game, all you got to do is put in your system, play it, and you're good to go. It's just one of those features that you don't really appreciate until everything is put into perspective and you're just like, that's freaking awesome. And wrapping up the Xbox news for today, let's talk about a new price confirmation. So for the longest time, many of us have been wondering, how much are these companies, both Sony and Microsoft, going to charge for their expandable storage? Both consoles are going to be using SSD and NVMe, and we were speculating that, you know, because this new technology is not cheap. Even on PC, getting yourself an NVMe SSD is going to run you some money. So how are these console manufacturers going to get away with selling this new expensive storage, yet also have it be attractive to the consumers? And the answer to that is they sell this expensive piece of technology, worry about it later. For 1 terabyte of SSD storage on Xbox, it is going to retail for $220, which, as many of y'all can surmise, is very, very expensive. That is almost half the price of the Xbox Series X. And it's getting dangerously close to the price of the Xbox Series S. A whole Xbox console or storage. You got to pick one or the other. And while me, myself, and I look at that price and I do not like it, I totally understand where they are coming from, because this is new technology. It's not cheap by any stretch of the imagination. And as time goes on, this stuff will decrease in price and you'll be able to get this new fancy high-tech speed storage for much cheaper, or at least that is the goal anyways. You know, a lot of people look at this and they get flashbacks to the PlayStation Vita and how the memory cards, you know, literally crushed that system from even having a chance because it was proprietary storage and all that. I don't think Xbox is going to have the same problem in this situation, you know, because their consoles do come with storage that you can hold more than, you know, one game. So this is definitely going to be a situation where we got to watch it closely and we just got to hope for the best. And wrapping up the video for today with an update on a game that we talked about last week, that being Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now, in the previous video I made discussing the game and us talking about Sony lying to the consumer, saying that this is a PlayStation 5 experience only possible with next generation technology, and come to find out it's not necessary at all because the game is on PS4 in addition to a lot of other previously confirmed PS5 exclusives.
Well. How the turntables.
We did learn a little bit more from Insomniac about what they're going to be doing in terms of upgrading for the current generation owners, because when you buy Spider-Man Miles Morales, the Ultimate Edition, you of course get Spider-Man Miles Morales, but you also get a fully remastered from the ground up version of Spider-Man PS4. And folks were wondering, okay, are they going to sell this game standalone? What's the price going to be? Do PS4 owners get some type of a free upgrade like smart delivery? Insomniac came out and confirmed that, well, we are doing smart delivery upgrades, but only if you buy Miles Morales Spider-Man on PS4. But for current gen owners of Spider-Man PS4, on the other hand, if you want to get the full fat remastered version of Spider-Man PS4, you've got to go ahead and buy Spider-Man Miles Morales Ultimate Edition. So $70 if you want to play Spider-Man Remastered. So no type of remaster for current gen owners, and if you want to buy the game standalone, you're shit out of luck as well, because you got to spend $70 on the Ultimate Edition. Now, I'm of two thought processes when it comes to this. On the one hand, I kind of don't care too much, considering it still is a great value getting Miles Morales Spider-Man, which the game itself is already going to be $50. For $20 more, you get Spider-Man PS4 fully remastered for the ground up. That is a really good sell. But at the same time, I know that I am not the optimal consumer. There are tons of people out there who would have wanted to purchase the game standalone for, let's just say, $20. And there's tons of people, millions out there, who are like, I just bought Spider-Man on PS4 and y'all are selling me a remaster version that is tied to this bundle. That right there is pretty spooky. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, especially in the age of, well, Xbox Smart Delivery and how they're upgrading all of their games for free, and how all these other developers are upgrading all their games for free, and not even just games that came out recently. Because if this was a game that launched, let's just say in 2013, I can understand that if they didn't want to do some type of crazy next gen upgrades. But this game is literally just 2 years old. It just hit 2 years old, and they've been working on this game with the PlayStation 5 to pimp it out. So you're telling me that, like, with all the money they made off of that game, they're not going to want to just offer that update for free when there's tons of other developers who have offered all of their updates for free for games that have sold into the millions. Now, to play devil's advocate for a second, I certainly do understand Insomniac's point of view. You know, this is not just a simple port job. They are actually remastering the entire game. But at the end of the day, if you are offering free upgradability for Spider-Man Miles Morales on PS4 to the PS5, what's to stop you from doing that on another game that's literally on the same dang console? We've seen Xbox do that for tons of games, whether they're current gen titles, last generation titles, or even original Xbox games have received tons of different upgrades and enhancements. Of course, they range, like some of them are just resolution bumps, but others are legit 4K texture packs. Others are doubling the frame rate. Others are just all types of crazy things to make the games look as best as they can. And all that stuff is for free. So in closing, I definitely do not like the decision. I know it's not going to matter in the end of the day because there's going to be a lot of people who have never played Spider-Man Miles Morales and they've never played the original Spider-Man, so they're just going to buy that bundle and think nothing of it. But it definitely is kind of shady, especially with how things have gone recently with Sony in the past couple of days. Their messaging has really been all over the place, and you know, I don't like it. I really don't. Now, is that going to stop me from buying a PS5 though? Oh, hell no. And that's all I got for y'all today. Those were just some of the news stories I felt like discussing. Post your comments down below and your thoughts on any of these things. You know, Spider-Man Miles Morales locking a remastered version in a $70 purchase. Doom Eternal coming to Game Pass, Xbox in Japan. Comment down below, let me know. And for me to you for now, my name is NGS signing out, and like always, I will catch you guys later. Peace.